You knew it was going to happen once a week. Man, didn't hit the banner in time. I knew and trying to get everything squared away. Didn't hit all the buttons. It's a crappy, cold, wet, rainy, ugly Friday. I think I covered all the adjectives. For Freestyle Friday here at SDH, getting you ready for the weekend. Here's the breakdown of the show. We're in a no dilly, no dally zone because Bart's going to join us in a sec to talk about the weekend because it's going to be kind of busy and kind of important. Then see if we can get our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring to join us for the Friday free kick at 9:30, 10 o'clock. Memphis 901 FC head coach Stephen Glass joins us to let everybody know what's going on with them as they get ready for the 2024 season in USL Championship. Some of you might have had the chance to see them up in Athens. We'll see how things have grown and progressed since then. Season's right around the corner coming up. He'll be joining us from Memphis, and we'll see how nasty and ugly and awful it sounds there at 10 o'clock. 10:30 Weekend Whiparound, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later. We'll get you through the weekend in Major League Soccer, get you through the news of the morning because there's some stuff. There's a lot going on. So no dilly, no dally zone. I'm kind of pushing opening kickoff, or I may as well just say that this is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, because I know that Bart's drinking coffee. I don't know if it's kickoff coffee, but there's your QR code. For those of you watching on Twitch, once again, use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% of your purchase taken off of the price with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvested into the youth game, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There. All right. Here we go. Now, Bart is in. I have heard, what's the mug this morning, by the way?
The WVU Reed College of Media, which existed for the year after I graduated until last year.
There you go.
Because they have been consolidated into a new one thanks to Gordon Gee's great financial leadership of the university.
So he's 2 for 2 in his last 2 gigs is what you're saying when it comes to
Listen, I like Gordon personally. He and I have actually had great conversations, and he knows who I am, which is scary at points.
Wow.
But yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I was one of the few people on WVU's campus who actually wore bow ties before he came. And when he did come, he and I bonded many a times over wearing bow ties together in public. So I have a picture actually of him and Natalie Tennant at a coal mining event. That's probably one of my favorite pictures that I have.
Gordon Gee, Natalie Tennant, Bart, and coal mining. Okay. Yeah. I'm starting to
listen, when you work for the engineering college, you do weird things. So
yes, it's true. All right. This weekend we've
also not Kickoff Coffee, but that's my weekend coffee. I will say I
yes,
drink Kickoff Coffee on the weekend because I have the whole beans that I grind fresh for my coffee on the weekend. So,
man,
shout out to Kickoff Coffee.
There you go. So Bart's out of control with his coffee this morning. There's some stuff going on this weekend that I know will split the Jessica Charman household, at least where the USWNT is concerned, the USWNT in Columbia. And it's intriguing. Now that you've had a couple of days to digest what happened to get the U.S. to that particular seed with tiebreakers and all of the fun that it was attached to wasn't coin flips, but finding plastic containers that they could place in a bowl and have the Turks and Caicos representatives spin them around in hell in a shell and come up with a tiebreaker. Now that you've had a couple days to think about it, what's on your mind?
It's still massively disappointing, John. And I think that's the frustration is that the disappointment hasn't ended since we came back from the World Cup. And I think my biggest takeaway still remains that this is not going to get better until Emma Hayes gets in charge, which won't be at least until June. And there's no guarantee it gets better for the Olympics. And part of it is that I think U.S. women's national team fans have whipped themselves up into fury because we have this unreal expectation that we will win everything. A lot of them, to be frank, weren't around when we lost in 2003 and 2007. They don't remember getting beat by Brazil 4-0. They don't remember losing at home to Germany in 2003. I keep wanting to say 2023. They have only known the success of the middle 2000s generation. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like that generation is an incredibly gifted, talented, wonderful generation. I mean, you're talking about, again, 3 World Cup finals in a row and a gold medal worked into there. But the reality is that's not the standard. That was a high. And right now we're in a low. We're in a generation that hasn't seemed to taken the mantle of and the responsibility of being a women's national team player the way that past generations have. And, you know, there are a lot of factors to that. I don't want to go Carly Lloyd because I actually don't think Carly Lloyd understands why the players don't prioritize the women's national team and winning everything there the way that she had to. And she's speaking as a little bit of a bitter old woman. And I mean that not in a bad way, as weird as that sounds, but she unfortunately was part of the, you know, one of the last few players who had to fight and scrap for every little penny she earned. Because the only way she made money was playing for the women's national team. And, you know, the women on the team now have $1 million contracts through their club team. So they're not worried about every single time they touch a ball on the field for the women's national team. Now, does that excuse them from coming out with a completely, I don't know, privileged point of view against Mexico? The comments after the game saying, you know, we got to learn that we're not just going to show up and win is concerning, because that should have been learned back in August when, you know, we didn't win and we certainly didn't look great during the World Cup. But also the overarching theme to all of this is we still have an interim coach, Twyla Kilgore, who unfortunately has shown zero capability of being an actual head coach. A real missed opportunity for her. And that's keeping this team back still. She hasn't had the guts to bench players that need to be benched. She certainly doesn't seem to have the guts to call out players who are underperforming, and certainly has been reluctant to make actual changes to help make this team better.
So when a particular individual says, quote, yes, the whole world has caught up, but I actually hate when people say that because the USWNT started to regress at the 2020 Olympics and have gone backwards. Hashtag no one fears the USWNT anymore. Teams used to lose the game before they played us because of fear and intimidation. As the complacency and lack of hunger crept in during 2020, it has given teams the confidence to know the U.S. is beatable, so that edge is lost, end quote. And that particular individual was the one that you just referenced.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think there are legitimate statements in there, right? I think that the rest of the world has caught up, and that's, again, not an overall bad thing. Mm-hmm. I don't think the USWNT has regressed so much as they just haven't. This generation is not as good as the generation prior. You know, it sucks that they're experiencing all of the lows at one time, right? Because it sucks that a girl like Sophia Smith, and I say girl because she's still young, a girl like Trinity Rodman, who, again, still young, and even players like Roosevelt and Lindsey Horan are experiencing these incredible lows. Midge Purse, another one, experiencing these incredible lows all at the same time. But, you know, that is the combination of the rest of the world catching up and you having a not great generation. But I will say this, John, I think there has been some way overblown takeaways about how good Mexico played. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they played poorly. That's not.
They played better than the USWNT.
They absolutely did. But there's this like, oh my gosh, they were playing so technically savvy and they were so great in individual skill. They played a great team game, but they played a game that the U.S. men's national team played against Mexico. How many times? They get out there hard, they press hard, they work hard, they make everything hard for the opponent. They throw some elbows, they throw some, they kick some legs, and they go direct and head on the counter. And not that that's a bad tactic. It clearly worked. It's just saying that there's this idea that somehow Mexico is this like bastion of incredible technical play on the women's side when they beat us because of long balls and kicking the crap out of us. You know, but that said, that's the point, right? The U.S. women's national team wasn't up for that fight. Where were y'all? And so that's kind of where I'm at is, we are stuck as a U.S. women's program trying to play this pretty possessive soccer. And there's nothing wrong with the ideal of that, right? But at the end of the day, that hasn't worked for us in the last couple of years. And maybe we should go back to being a little bit more route one. And I hesitate to say that fully, but for as much technical skill as those generations had, Joe Ellis was not coaching them to play beautiful, possessive soccer. And it doesn't allow, our players with their greatest strengths to shine. Lynn Williams isn't going to thrive in a possession-based system. That's not where she's going to find her best spots. Sophia Smith is not going to be great trying to beat a low block of 5, and that's where we stand, is that these girls also have to learn how to adapt their game to the women's national team and international level. But no, I mean, it is not good. It's not the end of the world, but also it is a wake-up call that it should have been a wake-up call, but it's another wake-up call that the U.S. women's national team needs to go out there and try to fight for everything that they're doing, as opposed to just expecting, as Carly said, for teams to beat themselves before they show up on the field.
I just, all of these wake-up calls, to me, it just seems like they just continue to hit the perpetual snooze button. It's just,
I agree. We had wake-up calls back in 2022, right? When we lost 3 in a row to England, Spain, and Germany. Now, I can look at the England game and go, well, I thought we played okay, and England was riding the highest of highs that they had right then. Okay, fine. But then you go to Spain and you lose to a team that was also fighting with their federation and a lot of players who weren't part of the full national team, like a regular national team. And then you come home and lose to Germany, who hasn't been we don't talk about Germany's fall at all, but somehow the U.S. has been the greatest fall. But Germany not making the knockouts of the World Cup last year, and yes, they make this quarterfinal or the semifinals and then the third place game for the Nations League, but they're not. No one's talking about that. No, they only want to talk about the women's national team. Germany, who won 27 Euros in a row. It's kind of exaggerating, but it's kind of not also. I think it was 9. They're also falling, but no one's looking at Germany going oh my gosh, this is this catastrophic thing. And, inside Germany, they're concerned for sure, but no one's looking at them wow, what happened to them? It's well, because France and England and Spain also dedicated money and resources to their women's national team programs and their club team programs. And it's just something that's going to happen as you get more money into the sport, and you're not going to win everything.
And it seems like more often than not, when you're the top dog, it's more of a reactionary thing instead of anticipating. It's okay, we got folks are getting older, and maybe we should start planning. It's like when the ish hits the fan, that's when you're forced to plan, and it doesn't end up being what you would have liked as a part of your progression. Yeah. And now you're having to, smash the brakes and hope that the engine doesn't fall out of the front of the car. David and Dell are in this morning as a part of the Good Mornings. David says the problem with the WNT play lately is it only allows Carly's voice to get louder and echo more. It's quite unfortunate. And Dell says Carly's earned the right to speak about the team. And David says that CONCACAF has caught up with men's CONCACAF, and that's not wrong either.
Well, okay, so first off, Dell, yes, Carly has every right to speak about the team. I mean, again, the woman won 2 World Cups. She made a World Cup final as well. She's got, I think, 2 gold medals. At least one. I'm not saying she doesn't have the right to speak. I'm saying that her perspective is skewed because she left the game before the major shifts in the sport happened, and she's not fully speaking with that
knowledge base.
She should have the knowledge base, but she's not speaking with that perspective. She's speaking from how things were exactly when she played. It's very Rio Ferdinand of her.
Back in my day.
Yeah, it's very, BBC Sport of her. But she is lacking the nuance of, well, they don't care as much. Well, they don't have to, should they care more? Yeah, but also I don't think that these women don't care. I think that's unfair to say. I do agree with her that there's been some mentality shift, and that's where I look at, her anointed number 10 and future captain, Lindsey Horan, who's been in charge of these pathetic, performances at times, and wondering where Lindsey is as a captain to make her team better. Alex Morgan's doing the mix zone afterwards. Lindsey's going straight to the locker. I do think it's fair to question that, but Carly's not going to question Lindsey, and that's where, again, her bias and her perspective are just incorrect and flawed. So sorry, she needs to be called out too, because she doesn't give good actual analysis, and that's where people have problems with Carly Lloyd. She doesn't analyze the game; she talks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's more. It's more deal. It's like bringing her issues of the past into a more public forum, I guess is probably the best way to phrase it.
Yeah.
This weekend, we got the final 8, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. And also keep an eye on our friend Mother Nature, who is undefeated, because I'm staring at stuff in the mountains at Truckee and Jen Carfagno with the Weather Channel. She's standing in like 18 inches of snow. So I don't know if the water is going to be making its way to LA, but also you're playing in one venue.
Yeah.
You're going to have one venue doing 4 matches in a weekend.
Double headers back to back. Yeah.
And what's the last match of the 4?
USA Colombia.
Canada, yep. Costa Rica. Costa Rica made it in on the drawing of lots and the opening.
Here's my proposal, John.
Sure.
By the way, next time, you just let the lower ranked team in and say, "No, this is more fun."
Yeah,
this is my proposal.
Give me the bigger underdog. Brazil, Argentina. That's on Saturday. Then you have basically 18 hours to fix the field. You got Mexico, Paraguay, U.S. and Colombia. What do you think about these 4?
Well, first off, I do think it's a little irresponsible of CONCACAF to put 8 games over 2 days at the same site. I think they could have played
4 games in 2 days, 8 teams.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
I think they could have played a doubleheader at BMO and a doubleheader at Carson. I think that would have probably made more sense if you ask me.
Yeah.
But they didn't ask me. So whatever.
Yeah. That
said, obviously, the Brazil-Argentina match is going to be fun because that is a rivalry that transcends sports. I won't lie that I'm concerned, but I will say Colombia hasn't looked like they're firing on all cylinders either. Mm-hmm. Remember, they finished second in their group as well. That's why they're the 5th seed behind the U.S. We had one more goal than they did. One more goal than they did, and 2 more goals than they did, and allowed one more. But anyway, better goal differential than they did. So it's not like Colombia has been the high-flying team that I think we expected them to be, especially coming off of that World Cup run they had in 2023. So it's not – I think people have written the U.S. women off as like, oh, they're going to lose. But the Colombia team is not performing at their best either.
And I think the record is 38 – let's see. Previous 12 U.S. women have never lost. They're 10-0-2. Goal difference 38-2 in the last 12. So that's,
and remember, we played these two teams played back in October, and the U.S. ended up winning 3-0 on aggregate over the 2 games. So
and so if the winners advance, and then it's midweek, it's Snapdragon, where you end up with the semifinals back to back on Wednesday. And then we end up with the final on Sunday the 10th. So next week will be a busy week for Bart for coming in on Monday, as he traditionally does, as he does at 10 o'clock to analyze these things. Question from David. Can the USWNT – wow, this is a long question. Can the USWNT set different lineups depending on how the low block pressure, et cetera, of the opponent? Horan's a very talented player, but without a game wrecker like Ertz bailing her out defensively, she's not been a superstar. Her anointment as the captain every time starter is infuriating based upon her inconsistent play.
So, David, can they? I assume. Have we seen that? No, and that's where I go back to Twyla being not a good head coach. And, I think that's been the frustrating part is Vlatko clearly got a lot wrong. We've talked about that. I don't know how many times.
Ad infinitum ad nauseum.
Yeah. He got a lot wrong. She's a holdover from Vlatko. So she was a part of Vlatko making all these strategies.
But how much of this? But how much what you would think that Emma Hayes would have her hands in some of this?
See, I don't think there's that much right now, John. Especially because I'm sure Emma has consulted a lot and said, there are things I want to see. But if Emma Hayes had any thought, Naomi Girma's only played one game this entire tournament.
Yeah.
Okay. But if Emma Hayes looked at the matchups and said, yeah, we'll sit Naomi Girma for the game against Mexico, then I don't want Emma Hayes being our next U.S. women's national team coach, right? Yeah. That to me is an unmitigated dumb, 926, dumbassery, okay? Like that. That is. We could just put up the explicit warning
and we post the show online. It's all.
I know. Good. I'm sorry. I was just making a time check of when I do the explicit.
Hey, Safe Harbor doesn't exist anymore. We just have to post warnings.
That would be insane to me, right? And that's where I look at again. You look at the lineup and you go, yeah, of course you lost with Sauerbrunn and Dahlkemper as your center backs against the pacey and technical Mexico team. Duh. But to your point, excuse me. To your point. Yeah, I mean, I think ideally you're seeing a lineup that is different, and hopefully you're seeing, Horan not having to play every game because for some reason she's been told she has to play every game, and that's actually weird for the U.S. women because we haven't had outside of like Abby Wambach, but even then it's like, well, yes, she played mostly every game, but it wasn't like she had to play every single game, especially now where you don't have contracts tied into playing time. There's no reason why, a starter like Alex Morgan or Lynn Williams could be the captain if you sit Lindsey Horan. Or, I think Sauerbrunn was a captain on, when was that? Tuesday night when we played and Horan sat. So, I think the frustrating part is the best the midfield looked was when Horan didn't play, but also that was against Dominican Republic. And you can't tell me that the reason was not Lindsey Horan.
Right.
I do think it's very clear that the Horan-Lavelle midfield doesn't work. I also think it's clear that Lavelle hasn't been her best in a very long time. Obviously, she dealt with injury a lot last year. There's a reason she didn't play a whole lot at the World Cup. She didn't play a whole lot after that for Reign. Yes, she balled out in the NWSL final, but she didn't do a whole lot before then. And so for me personally, the problem isn't necessarily Horan. It's forcing Lavelle into a lineup when it doesn't seem like she's truly ready to be starting and playing a whole lot of minutes, especially when you have the idea, as you said, a wrecker. Well, Coffey and Albert could sit behind her and Horan in a double pivot, and that could work really well. And I think that would actually enable a lot more interchange with Sophia Smith and probably a lot more interchange with, your wingers and fullbacks. Because you're not congesting space out wide, which, by the way, the width has been another issue with this team, that we don't seem to use the width because our fullbacks have to be inverted for some reason, and that is definitely a holdover from the Vlatko regime, and doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, David says right now the only WNT he's trotting out every day is Naomi Girma, Sophia Smith
at
the 9, Emily Fox almost.
I wouldn't even say Smith at the 9 anymore. She has been wholly disappointing this tournament, and that is something that I will say is not a coaching thing. Maybe it is. I could be wrong, but Soph disappointed at the World Cup last summer. She is disappointed this tournament, and she has to figure out if she's going to be the next star or not. Because I'll tell you one thing, and I hate to say, hate to be like a old timer, but Alex Morgan knew what it meant to be a star for the U.S. women's national team. Sophia Smith has not figured that out right now, and that's confusing.
Yeah. Who's dinged up right now heading into this one?
Oh my gosh. Like in the tournament, I don't necessarily know other than Olivia Moultrie, who had an ankle injury. But if you're talking like holistically,
sure,
we still don't have Mal Swanson. We still don't have Katarina Macario.
So there's a few.
Those are the two that I know for sure.
Okay.
Sauerbrunn getting back into it after an ankle injury. Dahlkemper, just ushered back in after she played like 2 minutes for San Diego Wave was weird. Same with Davidson. They're still in injury. Like Davidson's not even, I think, 12 months from an ACL recovery. So, there's that. But in terms of like people injured for this tournament, I think it's just Moultrie. But I'm also wondering if Girma's hurt, because why else was she not playing? We had four. I mean, look, if you would have won your group, you had Monday through Saturday off.
Yep.
So I don't understand a squad rotation thing by not starting Gurma. That to me, again, the Gurma decision to not start her is still, it just makes no sense, John.
Yep, no doubt about it. And we will see you on Monday to talk about all this. It is Soccer for US POD at Bartimus Prime 19, and go listen to episode 80 because they go through all of the new jerseys when it comes to Major League Soccer.
And 81 should be dropping either today or tomorrow.
Good. Cool.
Probably today. Last thing, as you're watching the replacement refs this weekend, don't look for the good things they do, because I think people are like, oh, they're fine. They weren't. Actually look at how they're refereeing the game. Actually look at how the game is being played because of their refereeing. And you can do this because you're not biased because Atlanta United doesn't play. So enjoy that while you watch MLS this weekend.
Got a long weekend to watch. All right, we'll see you Monday, my friend.
Thanks, John. You'll have a good one.
All right. So now we get the hot tag. And I'm gonna let him chew on his breakfast a little bit. I'm gonna filibuster for a second. Okay, so he gave me the thumbs up in the green room. All right, so Greg Garza, he's coming back for yet another week of hanging out with us, and I'm gonna filibuster. I'm gonna roll the open, so this way he can continue to enjoy his breakfast that he was eating on the fly before he joined us here for the segment that's going to start in about 15 seconds. How are you, my friend? How's breakfast?
How you doing? Breakfast was good. Just a little oatmeal really quick with some blueberries and walnuts, and good to go, man.
Okay. I will readily admit that I'm an oatmeal guy when I think about breakfast more than anything else. I'm one of those guys that literally, now, do you do the instant? And
yeah, I do the instant. When I'm traveling and I visit parents and I visit mom and dad, then my mom makes me oatmeal. There's very few oatmeal people out there, man. Even at Atlanta United, when I played at Atlanta United, Chef Steve, I think I was like the only oatmeal person. He literally made oatmeal, I think, for me.
Oh, wow.
I don't think anybody else got oatmeal. My kids look at it and are like, no way in hell am I eating that. Excuse me. But yeah, I love it. It's good.
I mean, and usually for me, what I'll do is, because the portions are so small, when you get the packet, I'll end up taking like a double. I'll take 2 packets and make those, because I mean, if you look at the one packet, it's only like about an inch thick in the bowl, and you're like, man, that's really not going to do anything for me. So I end up getting a double packet.
That's why I add the walnuts and blueberries to it.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Last week we got to talk a little bit about the four selves, and I enjoyed that conversation, and how you get to branch out and look at different aspects of yourself. And with the season kicking off with Atlanta United, it's a new year, optimism's there for grown-ups. When it comes to your mentees, and it could be, it could be Garza family. It could be anybody that plays a sport, not necessarily soccer, but a sport. Do you sense in the young people of today the same kind of optimism and joy when they're starting something new, when they're starting a new season, when they're jumping into something full bore, or do they sense it more as work and something that they're having to navigate through? And do you guys get to change those opinions if they feel it's kind of becoming drudgery?
That's a good question. I think can have a lot of different broad answers to it. I'm gonna try and facilitate that the best way possible, and say that I always tell kids it's a balance, right? I think that self-regulation comes into play of what we talked about last week, right? Understanding the control of, are you able to stay motivated, have the routines, the self-discipline, all these other things that go within good habits. And Mike and I talk about it all the time, the expectation effect. And maybe that's something you can ask Michael about next time you guys speak. Great. It's a book that he highly recommends. But I think at the same time, it's got to be right. It's got to be a balance of those things, understanding of putting in the work, but also enjoying yourself. right? And that's one of my coolest answers within kids who tell me the self-belief part, because it's not only the confidence piece, it's not only the the flow state, it's not only the willing to take over or take control. Very few kids actually tell me enjoying myself. I enjoy myself when I have self-belief. So it's interesting that you said that. I think it's got to be a balance of both, going into something new, understanding all the hard work that's needed, but at the same time you have to enjoy yourself. And I think that changes over time as adults for kids. I use myself, for example, whenever I was doing the ICA training with the MLS. Excuse me, I got something stuck in my throat.
Hey, you got to hydrate, brother. It's all right.
I got a piece of oatmeal there stuck in my throat. But when I was doing the intercultural awareness training with the MLS, I would look at the young kids and I would say, look, all you guys that are 18, 19, you're still playing for the passion, right? You're still playing because you love the game, because you enjoy it, because you're like, your dream is up there and you're like, okay, I want to continue to build this dream. And then I just use the older guys as an example, and I use all the guys who have kids. Well, once you have kids, when you're within your career, your dream or your selfishness of wanting to get to that next level completely changes. Then I think it really becomes what you said. It becomes a job.
Yeah,
it becomes a job, because now I have to facilitate the lives of these kids that are me. And I think that's where the mindset shifts are also valuable. For me, for sure. After I had kids, and my mindset completely shifted. It was no longer about me. It was, how far can I take this, and how much money can I earn to support my loved ones. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because along those lines, I would think that you have younger athletes out there today who feel that same kind of responsibility because of the investment that was made by their parents up to that particular point of whatever age they are, 17, 18, 19. We've seen it in other sports where you have the high school senior and he's going to college and he's going to play, the other football. And when he has that chance to jump and go to the NFL, even though he may not necessarily be physically ready, mentally ready, what have you, if you have all those folks chirping in your ear, yeah, man, go to the NFL draft, get the money. It's that responsibility and that weight that's there, that's attached to it all because of everything that your parents have done to get you to that point. And I didn't know if it was the same, or if you're experiencing the same with younger folks today because of those pressures, either self-imposed or not, because of the investment that had happened up to that point.
Yeah, and there's different levels to it, right? There's different levels of where the kids are and what age they're in.
Yeah.
I see so many young kids that are already specialized and have the thoughts of that it is only pro. And I see parents that have the specialized thoughts that it is only pro, and my son or my daughter has to be a pro. Right there is, that's, to me, that's the wrong answer from the get-go. Right. And I even tell my kids, who are great players and have a unique and special God-given talent, something in them, you can't teach that. Right. It's totally up to them to how far they want to take it. Right. But whatever they have, their special sauce, like it's already been sprinkled on them when they were born. They have something in them. But me to them is, take this as far as it takes you. Right. And that is what I think the messaging needs to be with every support, or even as a parent investing in your kid. That needs to be the message always. I think, you just use the word parent, right? The definition of parent is to, right, take care of your young, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take care of, and so those investments should not be investments to get something back for that kid to go pro. Those investments should be for that kid's growth and however far it takes him or he or she in life. And so I look at it more that way. And I think there's a very high percentage that don't look at it that way. Because it's I mean, you and we've talked about it so many times about just the percentages and just how extremely hard it is to get there. And so I think it's easier. It's an easier message to just say, hey, use this as a platform to take you however far you can go. Because
being a professional athlete, even here in the United States, I'm going to put the parenting thing. That'll be my follow-up question. The idea of being a professional athlete in the sport of soccer here in the U.S., or even being based here in the U.S., because the game has expanded so much, can be so many different forms. It doesn't have to be, you're chasing after Champions League. I mean, yeah, if you could be an Aronson, or if you could be, one of those players for, the United States men's national team that is chasing after dreams in the European theater and playing in Champions League, representing your country, that's only one aspect. And I think that sometimes folks might get wrapped up that has to be the be-all, end-all for my athlete in my family. But professional athlete now can be Major League Soccer, where you can make a decent living, with a couple of years in. It can be in USL Championship, and you can be somewhere into your early to mid 30s. You can be in USL League One. You can be a Cameron Lancaster who played forever in Louisville and is now in Lexington, Kentucky, playing in the third division. It can be in Mexico, where you got a cup of coffee and you know what it means there. It's just that professional athlete, I think that sometimes folks get locked into this idea of the absolute top of the mountain being the answer, when it doesn't have to be the top of the mountain if you're still a good athlete, but you're not at the top of the mountain. It doesn't mean that you're not good at what you do.
Most definitely. And that comes from a lot of different factors, right? There's a lot of luck involved in that as well. There's a lot of relationships and connections and a lot of different things that I think people don't see from the outside, right? I had a young man's father speak to me last night about he's in this phase and he's in this stage. He's 16, 17, and he wants to do it all on his own. Wants to figure it out all on his own. He wants to talk to college coaches all on his own. He doesn't want anybody's help. He doesn't want anybody's this and that. And I just told him, well, then that's the wrong way to look at it, right? Because he needs people who have been there, done that, to guide him. And how important are relationships? If this kid is a great kid and he knows this person who knows this coach and says, hey man, this kid is an absolute fantastic kid, he'd be a great asset to your team. That does so much, right? And so I think, there are a lot of different factors that help you get to where you need to be. Mm-hmm. Do you need that internal drive and all the selves that we talk about? Most definitely you do. But there are a lot of external factors that I think people don't put into perspective sometimes, and it's tough.
Halftime with Greg Garza and our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring for the Friday Free Kick. Twitterless Greg Garza at BG Mentoring on the 280 character app. And relationships, I think there might be times, I think, where we take relationships for granted, or at the same time, we may not realize the value of a relationship. And what I mean by that is, it's like if you're in a circle, and just as an example, this morning, say, you and I, we've known each other bordering 10 years now. Yeah. And from all the interactions we've had, all the stuff that we've done, if there isn't an opportunity somewhere, it could be, something random. Hey, Greg, I need you to help me build a skyscraper, or, Greg, I need your advice. Like, I win the Mega Millions, and I'm going to invest in a soccer club. Hey, Greg, I might need your advice about how to build the thing and, want to have a style of play. And I might need you just to kind of give me some feedback. I might have you and Parky as a part. If I don't take advantage of those kinds of relationships, if the situation fits, then I'm not doing myself any good in the long run. And the value is that you may not realize at the time that a relationship can be of value, but I think you always have to keep yourself aware that no contact is ever a bad contact, especially when you're growing in your field.
No, most definitely. Yeah. Relationships are key. I think they're an important factor towards a lot of different things. And every player will always have their story and their tale to tell. And every story that every player has is going to have somebody that has been fundamental in getting them towards where they need to go and where they want to be. But that's like going back to just everything in the beginning is, man, there's a lot of families and a lot of kids out there that I think if they could just have that mindset shift towards using soccer as a platform to get them as far as they can in life. And that's what the value of being on a team, the value of using it to get a college education, the value of using it. These are all great values. They are not failures, right? They are not failures to where if, okay, your first dibs and your first objective was to make it pro and that doesn't work. Well, then what else how far else can I take this? That should be always the go-to.
And it's, when you have these kinds of things and your mentees realize this, are you seeing, and I don't know if you have any kind of evidence one way that can give you this, but do you see your mentees passing on what they're learning from you and Parky? Are you seeing that chain continuing to grow in any ways? Are you saying, hey, I had a conversation with a buddy the other day, or I'm helping others? Are you seeing your chain grow when it comes to what you guys are doing?
Yeah, most definitely, because we're cultivating leaders, right? Yeah. Giving these kids different ways to think about things, how to really, that's really interesting that you asked that, because I had a girl last night ask me, why do we do this? Right. She's a great mentee. And that was a great question. I've only had 2 people ask me within a mentoring session out of hundreds and hundreds of kids, why do you do what you do? She's the second person, and both of them have been girls, similar ages as well, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. And I just gave her the background of everything of why we do what we do. It's to help, just literally told her to help you understand sometimes that life is not going to be fair, right? The easy answer that I can give you is to help you understand that life is most likely not going to be fair. But the game that you and I both love teaches us so many different values on how to overcome certain challenges, on how to learn to be a great teammate, on how to build self-belief and have confidence and trust in yourself, on how to push yourself a little bit further than everybody else, right? All of these things, guess what, right? To what her name was, right? They're going to help you in anything and everything in life. It's not just going to help you on the field. All the things I just told her, think about all the sessions that we've had that we focus with things on the field. And then I said, just translate that to something, I said, what do you want to do? I want to be a biologist. Okay, well, you want to be a biologist. How are you going to be the best biologist that you can be with everything that we've talked about? And, I think that's where it starts to click for them, to where which is great. I think they compartmentalize a lot of their focus into what they are currently doing, but they don't understand sometimes the bigger picture of it. Right. And I think that's the beauty. That's the beauty of what we do, because I think a lot of the times they start hearing these personal stories or experiences or mini exercises or things that will cultivate them into being better prepared individuals for whatever their journey brings in the future.
So when you gave that mentee that response to her question, what was her reaction to your response?
Yeah, a lot of smiles, a lot of, I think it's more realizations, right, than anything, because I think and she's an older girl, so I think it's a moment of realization for them, because I think they start to put the pieces together, and they start to realize, they're like, okay, wow, he's right. I every time I speak to him, I'm always using soccer as the main point of interest and point of focus, right? But it's much more than that. And that's why I think Mike and I love what we do, because we gain those experiences within soccer. And I think kids don't realize that while they are doing it. They would only realize that maybe when they get in their 30s or their 40s, after they've done it for in the past. They only realize how beneficial it was to them in those moments. So that's our main message. That's our main message, right? To cultivate confidence, leadership, resilience, build character is by far more important than anything that these kids need.
In your interactions, who is the most confident person that you ever came across that has helped you with your approach to mentoring? And it doesn't have to be a soccer player. It can be a coach, could be a person that has nothing to do with athletics. Who is the most confident person you ever came across in their field who, with their connection to you, helped you the most?
That's a really difficult question.
You can give me a Mount Rushmore if you need to. You can give me a top 5.
I don't even know if I have a top 5. I would say my parents are huge advocates of. I mean, I think once again, I think they've shaped me, and it hasn't always been, and even our relationship hasn't always been rainbows and butterflies, and you've gone through our sparks and our headbutting and even that growing up as a kid, and different decision making situations. But I think they're very problem solve people, right? When things happen, they try and problem solve, and they don't dwell on things. And I think that's I wouldn't say that they're always confident. I wouldn't say confident, because I don't think anybody is always confident. I think we go through our slumps, and we go through our right. And Parky and I always tell kids, confidence is a trained skill. And just like you go outside and you train to be technically better, you have to find a way to train your confidence as well, each and every day, and your positive affirmations, and creating some form of self reassurance. But I think probably my parents, and just in order to get through things and problem solve and understand that if crap hits the fan, right, which it's going to always.
Yeah.
Every week is a different story. It's totally up to you on how you want to kind of take it, right? Do you use it to be the end of the world, like as an end all be all, or do you use it, in those moments where I'm just using and referencing parents and telling their kids that it is an end all be all. But I think in those moments, in those challenging moments, can you use them to just as quickly as possible problem solve and move on to the next thing?
So then who were some of the most resilient people that you've come across that have helped you shape you?
And
the person in the mirror, I think, counts because of everything that you've gone through.
Yeah, I think I enjoy giving my personal story. And I mentor a kid at right after this who was going through an injury, didn't make a team, and just all these different things. Just, I think once kids start to see things trickling and start to see things folding, it puts them in a really tough situation. And kids are not going to listen to mom and dad. That's just very true statement because my kids don't even listen to me about my stories. But I think when they hear my stories of injuries or failed trial attempts or just, Parky always says the pathway to success, right? It's never linear. It's you have all these leaps and valleys and dips and peaks and all plateaus, all these different things. And I think once kids listen to that and hear our personal resilience stories, and Parky has many as well, that creates that bond. It creates that trust because I think they say, okay, I get it. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
This guy's story really sucks. And he did okay, and he turned out okay. And I think that's a huge plus. And sharing stories, I love storytelling, right? I think that's what life is. Life is a bunch of us we look into the ICA training for MLS. We all have different story, and we all have a tale to tell. And the only way that we are able to, create those deep relationships and those deep connections is by sharing those stories. I fear for the youth generation because their storytelling is all through a device,
true.
Right? And it's, you take away from those long conversations or those letters or those notes. And I guess we'll see. That's another generation. The next John Nelson and Greg Garza that'll be here in 100 years, man. But yeah, man, it's storytelling is everything, I think, in everything that we do. And
no doubt about it.
Creating that resilience.
Absolutely. We'll put a bookmark in that because next time I want to talk about ICA. I want to get into that and how aware we are of everybody else's cultures and how that affects mentoring and your prism and how you look at things. What's going on with the Beyond Goals? Because high school season is off and running. They're getting into region play. We got games tonight on SDH. What's going on with you guys?
It is. We spoke to a high school yesterday. Still speaking to a lot of high schools, trying to create some new opportunities. We actually have some pretty cool partnerships and other sponsored opportunities, hopefully coming into play pretty soon. So continue to put a dent in the community in the best way possible, and continue to grow what we love.
Absolutely. And we'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Go enjoy the rest of your oatmeal and your water and be safe. And I will catch up with you soon.
Sounds good. Have a good day, John. See you later.
And that's Greg Garza and our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. And it's always great to catch up with them for the Friday Free Kick, where he or Greg and Michael Parkhurst give us their perspectives on stuff going on, obviously, in and around Atlanta United, Major League Soccer and stuff. But we get to kind of pick their brain about how things are going with Beyond Goals Mentoring and what it's like to mentor young student athletes and what it's like to mentor the next level and those that are looking to make their next strides. And so it's always great for the Friday Free Kick at BG Mentoring on the Twitters and the 280 character app. And it's always fun to pick their brain about things that we might miss when it comes to generational disconnects and parent and child relationships and all these kinds of things, because Greg and Parky get to see it. They get to do it through the athletic prism, but there are other lessons there that they can learn all the way through. And now, as we start hour number 2, time to get a little audio in. And we get to catch up with our friend Stephen Glass, who is in Memphis, and he's kind of getting ready for a season. Glassy, good morning. What's going on?
Doing well, John. How's things?
All right. Hey, man, it is off and running. It is a crappy morning here in Atlanta, and so we're trying to stay as dry as humanly possible. And I know that you kind of got a season that's coming up sooner than I think any of us really realize. But what's going on up there in Memphis? What's the offseason been like in the preseason?
Off-season's been brilliant, actually. I've got home to Scotland for a little bit of time, spent some time with the family, a few club visits, visited Everton, visited Newcastle, and mainly had a good time with the family, so that was really good. Planning all the while, bringing players in and things like that, organising for the new season. So now we're kind of seeing the fruits of the players we brought in, which is good. Planning training, actually at the training ground right now, just waiting to start the session before our final pre-season game. So looking forward to that.
Now, when it came to last season, and the lessons that you pulled from 2023 here to 24? What were some of the bigger thoughts that you kind of bookmarked and you're like, yeah, we've got to keep an eye on this, keep an eye on this, keep an eye on this, and that'll help us grow as a franchise in USL Championship?
Hey, I think probably the biggest lesson, it's a really long season. You always know that going in, but I think you get you pigeonhole yourself and you put pressure on games week to week. But I think when we focused on performance level as a group, we were very good. We didn't start particularly well results-wise, but we kind of trusted it. And we ended up going on a really good run. Almost started when we came to Atlanta, to be honest, but because it kind of kick-started us. But we went through the month of April, May and June, we didn't lose a league game. So that's a long time. So I think if we don't almost focus too much on the results come, the results happen with the quality of players we've got. So that's probably the biggest lesson, is making sure we focus on performance level and keep driving the group and being relaxed about what we've got.
And for those that didn't have the opportunity to see about all the turnover and all the new faces, I know there's some firepower that got brought in, and a lot of folks sat there and looked at what happened in the offseason with Memphis 901, and they're like, man, you guys are really you're really front-loaded some things, and you really want to put the ball in the back of the net in 24. Yeah,
well, we were pretty high on that last year. I think probably go back to your first question. We need to be a bit tighter at the back.
Yeah.
So we're front loaded. I think your phrase is right. We've got some really good attacking players, midfield players that can score goals, defenders that are adding a set piece threat. And it's strange because as a group we were pretty difficult to play against, I think, last year. Not easy to play through, and we gave up a lot of cheap goals rather than not huge volume from the other team. So I think a little bit of focus on that and knowing that we still keep the drive on trying to score as many goals as we can. Because I think we're top 4 in probably every single metric in terms of attacking, like getting in the box, touches in the box, final third entries, actual goals. So we're really up there. So I think if we can tighten up at the other end, we'll be in a good position.
And when it comes to tightening up at the back, I mean, what are we talking about here when it comes to processes and approach and looking at tape and bringing in individuals that you think will help out? What's that process like for someone that's not there in the film room with you and the assistants? How did you try to tackle this coming into the season?
Well, we recognised what we needed. I think we knew, particularly at centre-back, we needed a bit of help there. We've got good guys there that have done well. They'll continue to do well and they'll continue to get pushed. But I think we had to raise a level of the ones that we've got to really increase the overall level. So we added, at the back, Alvaro Quezada. He's cover for fullback, but he's a real threat to the ones that are there that you would see as starters. But he's been brilliant in pre-season and he gives us a decision. We added Oscar Jimenez, who played at Louisville for, I think, 6-7 years. He's won the whole thing a couple of times.
32 seasons at Louisville for Oscar. I swear, we've seen him forever.
Man. Yeah. I remember him from when we had Atlanta United 2 and he played, and I remember thinking, this guy's a player. And we're fortunate to be able to have him here now, so that's good. We added Tulu from San Antonio. So San Antonio, traditionally tough team, tough to play against. Well, a whole team of guys that are like Tulu, to be fair, that big, powerful, good athletes. So we've added Tulu, that'll help us. And we added AB Sissoko. He came from Seattle. He's played in the MLS. Played for their second team the majority of the time last year, but he's played MLS and he's done very well. And I think he's looking to try and boost his career, which is where we kind of come in, and we're a good spot for that for players, I think.
When you look at the midfield, and I know that for those that got to catch up with you and see Memphis 901 early in the preseason for the matchup in Atlanta against Atlanta United, I know that there were some familiar faces there. They got to see Emo come back. Zachary Duncan is someone that folks kind of gravitated toward. Luis Fernando, once again, another part of the Atlanta United stuff in the past, and you've got guys like Bruno Lapa, and I know that you can't be in Memphis without having a guy without being named Les Paul being in Memphis, those kinds of things. That midfield is something that I know that when you're adding this kind of personnel, there's a lot of different personalities there that can give you a lot of different approaches to help you fill out your pieces.
Definitely. And I think there's a lot of them can play multiple positions and roles themselves within the midfield. So we're delighted with the ones that we've added first. So obviously Zach's came in, an Australian lad who was playing in Denmark. Career probably faltered a little bit through no fault of his own. I think COVID hit. which affected everyone, obviously. But then, so that happened. He got an injury, when there was a big move on the cards. So, and I think he actually cost the Danish club 400,000 or something in compensation. So that's a pretty high level player to come to the USL.
Mm-hmm.
So Zach's going to do well for us. We're already pleased with him in pre-season. You mentioned Emerson. Emerson's fitter, stronger. He looks a little bit more resilient than he was last year. And again, to be able to attract a player like that to the club says a lot for the staff and what they believe we can do for them. Leston, we've brought him a little closer to the coaching staff this year as he gets a little bit older. He's obviously certainly not ready to finish, but he's getting closer every year. Like you say, he's been here for 100 years, so he's a great character in the place. I'm not talking like a jokey character. I mean, like professional, brilliant guy. And ready for the next step when it comes. Lapa is in there. Sami Cariaga came from Lanús, which Atlanta people know Lanús very well. Mm-hmm. So when we can attract a player from Lanús, again, says a lot about our contacts, and particularly Caleb Sewell, the sporting director's contacts. So I think the midfield's really strong. They don't know who's going to play there week to week, but I think whoever plays there is capable of everything you want in a top midfielder, and hopefully, if we do everything we think we're going to do, it'll be a top midfield in the division.
All right, so let's go up front. And one of the guys that over the last handful of years we've been able to see continue to grow and develop ever since, I swear, much like, Les Paul and Oscar have been in the USL Championship forever, it seems like Naito Pickering has been in USL Championship forever, and he started maybe when he was like 13. I mean, that's how long it feels like he's been in USL Championship. But what's it been like to see Naito Pickering continue his advancement in the game and being so young while all this is going on?
Yeah, well, being able to help a kid like that's career's something that you're in it for as well. So we're all excited about that, myself particularly. The sports science department have helped him no end. We brought Leandro Spinola from Corinthians, so that's been good for Knight. We can spend a lot of time with him on the training pitch. I think he came in here as a 17-year-old the year before I came in. Yeah. Scored on his debut, an overhead kick that I think everyone's seen. Mm-hmm. Last year, he started more games than he's ever started and took part in more games than he's ever done. Scored a good number of goals, good quality goals, learning how to play against men on a consistent basis. And we're looking for more from him this year. And he started the pre-season brilliantly. We've signed Nico Brett, and Nico's not here yet. So Knight has found himself as the only number 9 at the club. So he looks like he's going to start the season, but he's earned it anyway. But he's kind of grasped it. And if you walked in, you wouldn't see the body of a 19-year-old. He's a really powerful young man. And I think he's going to kick on this year, and hopefully we can keep him for the whole season. But I think that's one of the dangers when you've got a player like that someone comes in and puts, which wouldn't be a lot of money for MLS or foreign clubs, enough down to come and take him.
And at the same time, you mentioned Nico Brett up top. We talked about Pickering. You bring in Noe Meza from League One, and he was a handful for the Murder Owls out at Union Omaha. He is now a part of the discussion. Marlon, who, like Oscar and like others, is like 740 years old. He's been there forever, but he still just keeps right on running and doing what he does. And you also end up with another guy up top that we got to see in Athens, and Dylan Borzak. I mean, you've got depth in a lot of different lines for this run that is USL Championship. And I mean, this is one of the more stacked rosters, I think, in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, well, we got moved to the West.
The West,
yeah, probably for that reason. No, John.
Yeah, they booted you.
They don't want to see us. Don't want to see us in the East anymore. So they challenge us a wee bit different. Give us more travel.
Right.
But we're pretty much doubled up in every position, to be honest. So it's a good position to be in. Gives you a problem though, but it also gives the players a real drive that the training almost picks the team for you. The performance on a Saturday night picks it for the next week. But they all know the minimum is hard work, and the minimum is competing. And if you earn the opportunity and the opportunity arises, you will get it. If you don't earn it in training, you won't get the opportunity. And I think it's been pretty evident that the players are hungry to do well when they get the chance. And I think that serves the team and the club well.
And you mentioned being in the West. Does it feel like the season is only 8 days away, considering that you're going to have your home opener and you're going to smash a guitar as one of the early matches on next Saturday when Vegas comes to town? And Vegas has, they've got a guy who likes to flip bats when he was playing baseball as one of their owners now. And Vegas is spending money. They're bringing in folks. The West is going to be interesting for you in year one.
Yeah, well, firstly, I'm glad the season's starting because pre-season, I didn't like it too much as a player, but obviously as a coach, you want to get into the business side of it. So when the games start, it's a lot better. You can really dial into everything that's going on. So that's we're all looking forward to that. I think players, staff, everyone. I think we're the first game of the year, so there'll be a lot of eyes on us, which is good. The televised games came out. We're not on there, but this is an opportunity for us to show ourselves that people are missing something because we're going to be a good team. But that's up to us. I think the West itself it's going to be a little bit different, but we played everyone last year as well, so it's not totally the unknown. There's half of the places we've not been to, but it doesn't really matter. It's a new adventure, another opportunity to go and do well. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. We know Vegas have spent quite a bit of money. It maybe didn't happen quite as quickly, so hopefully they're a bit weaker than they might be later in the year. But it's once they get settled and get their players in. So it's I could tell you that about every club in the league, though, probably they're spending more money than us. We've managed to do it on a really, really tight budget. So that's one of the strengths of the group as well. And
before I get into the rest of the West, you mentioned all of the investment that has been made and the contacts that you have. I mean, to get this done, it's got to be a delicate balancing act where I assume that Caleb has international dialing on his phone and it's unlimited minutes or unlimited WhatsApp groups and however things are done these days. But to be able to have those contacts, call South America, have South American clubs interested in sending their players to Memphis. I mean, this has got to be one of the largest whiteboard experiences that you guys ever got. It's like, okay, we got to call here, do this, lines and squiggles, 6 foot by 8 foot whiteboard. I mean, how difficult is this to do this internationally for a USL Championship club?
Well, yeah, very. And I think part of that is, well, obviously I went home to Scotland in the winter. Caleb was in Portugal for a little bit because he lived there for a while. His wife's Brazilian. They were here for a while. So the time difference, I think I took calls at like 1 and 2 in the morning from Caleb, who was here. So the break in the winter was not a break at all. I think we were on the phone every single day. So that's good. But the fact Caleb actually speaks Portuguese fluently from his time there, and his wife's Brazilian, so the Portuguese language is familiar to them. So the South American thing becomes a little bit more accessible. So that really helps. So Caleb's got good contacts with that. And the fact he can talk directly to people is great. And then I think the profile of Caleb, the profile of myself, our track record, Caleb was in coaching the second team, helping that when he was in Toronto as well. So good playing background, good coaching background, good history. Pushing young players and pushing other players onto something new and something greater than they're at the moment. And I think agents see that, players see that, and we continue to do that. So it makes the club we're working at a good place to put your players.
Stephen Glass, head coach, Memphis 901 FC, hanging out with us for another couple of minutes here in hour number 2 on the kickoff for Soccer's morning show here at SDH. Man, the USL Championship season is a little over a week away before we kick things off in 24. The West. And the West, it's San Antonio as a traditional heavyweight, Sacramento a traditional heavyweight, Phoenix, they get to hang a banner, Orange County. I mean, you look at all of these folks that you're going to be going up against, and there are no easy places to play. When you look at this challenge of the Western Conference, the East booted you out to the West, and so now you're in the West, and you're looking at all of these heavy hitters here. I mean, this is some tall timber that you're going to be getting into here in 24.
But definitely. But I think the whole league is like that because the East, I don't think you look at the East and say it's weak. And we managed to finish 4th in there last year against, like you talk about heavyweights, you're talking about Tampa Bay Rowdies and Louisville and these guys that are huge, huge clubs. So it wasn't easy last year. So going into something that's not easy this year doesn't faze us. But you're right, we're going to clubs that spend way more than us, have more fans in their ground than us. But we know what we are. We know we're a good team. We know we can compete. And our players are very hungry to show what they are as well. So I think we go into it with the mentality that no one's better than us. They might have bigger stadiums, bigger budgets, but when you get on the pitch, there's a coach at the side trying to coach 11 guys better than you. Your 11 guys are trying to show that they're better players than the other ones. And we've never shirked a fight here in Memphis. So that's a definite.
How have you continued to grow as a coach in your time there in Memphis, other than the issues at the back probably giving you more gray hairs than you would have wanted at times? How have you continued to grow as a head coach? What have you learned about yourself with your time there in Memphis?
I think that some of the lessons that I've had along the way are valuable. Obviously, I had a great time in Atlanta, some really deep learning experiences there. Back in Aberdeen, you're coaching against 50,000 people. When you go to Rangers and Celtic, I had a team that could compete there. And then you learn the experience of losing your job for whatever reason. And you don't always feel it's justified when you make a move from a club, but you get the chance to reflect and see things you could have done better, differently. But I think the contacts I have in the game and where I get to go. So after I lost my job in Aberdeen, I had the opportunity to go to visit Brendan Rodgers in Leicester at the time. Full access, watch training, watch him prepare for the game. Then they were doing very similar to the things that we were doing. So you feel like you're on the right track. Then this winter, I was fortunate. I played with Sean Dyche in Watford when I was younger and had less grey hairs. So thanks for referencing that, John. And
I got more than you, brother.
Yeah, you've still got some, so it's good. But it's So went to visit Dyche this year again, full access, walking around the training pitch as close as you want, in the office all day with him, and then go watch them beat Chelsea. So just seeing and learning from other managers, seeing things that they're doing, seeing best practice. And you get a feeling that you're on the right track with the staff you work with. We are short-handed, so you get your hands dirty. We've all got our hands on everything at the club. There's only 3 or 4 of us that are. You see these other clubs, and they've got analysts, they've got multiple fitness coaches, masseur, the lot. We are a sports scientist, Caleb and myself, and a physio. So there's no analyst here. It's us. We do it all ourselves. All the travel's taken care of ourselves. But it means the players know that you're invested in it as well, which is probably our biggest strength. That they feel that we're in it as well. There's not a them and us. So yeah, lessons along the way learned in my own career, which I want to be better than I am at the moment, and I want to do that every day, and I'll continue to strive to do that.
Hard-hitting question to wrap up with you here.
Okay.
Have you found a good Irish pub, and have you found a good barbecue joint? Have you gotten into the barbecue? Those kinds of things. What have you discovered about your eating habits and such? And have you found a good Irish pub since you've been there?
So the first part is there's good Scottish bars as well. So I'll caveat with that answer. But
I know, because I got a Scottish flag right over there.
Yeah, good. So you should. But it's so there's plenty of Scottish bar. You didn't ask me that, but there's plenty of Scottish ones and a great Scottish contingent as well. But then barbecue, I'm not a big barbecue person, but every time I'm near a stadium, I smell it. So there's 2 or 3 that are real top ones that people have told us we should go. So I'm sure at some point I'll make it. Almost feel like I'm a criminal not going for some in Memphis, but I'll make it. I'll make it there at some point. So I won't let people down. And then Irish bars, again, there's a few. There's a couple of sponsors of the club that have got Irish bars. So there's one that's real close to the stadium called the Brass Door, which is fantastic. There's an Irish guy who's now a local called Seamus. And then there's DJ, who's a big sponsor of the club, who has the Celtic Crossing and a bar called the Bog and Barley, which is one of the best bars I've ever been in, all Irish pubs. But if anyone's ever in Memphis, any of those 3 are brilliant. And then it'd be a miss. It's not an Irish bar, but there's a place called Ghost River that the guy is very, very forthcoming with sponsorship for the club as well. So he's not Irish, but I don't want to mention other bars and not his. So.
There you go. And then you've also got the great Southern breakfast places that I'm sure are all over the place that are incredibly low calorie, that have, that want to just, you stare at it and you gain 10 pounds. Yeah. As always, my friend, it's great to catch up with you. The season opener and USL Championship coming up a week from tomorrow. Vegas Lights visiting AutoZone against Memphis 901. They're going to smash guitars. They're going to kick the season off and be a part of the premiere for USL Championship in 2024. Stephen Glass, head coach of Memphis 901. Thanks for hanging out, my friend. You know you have a golden ticket, and you can crash anytime you want, and you can talk about anything you want. It's great to hear your voice, and good luck this season. Be keeping an eye on you. Catch up soon.
Thanks, John. Hope to see you soon. Cheers.
There you go. That's a Glassy, and it's great to catch up with Glassy. And so now we'll bring in Jarrett on the hot tag. It's fun to hear how Steven is there at Memphis 901, and after seeing him in Athens, and seeing how things are this close to how things are right now in USL Championship. Great to catch up with Steven and seeing how things are as they go to the Western Conference in 24.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about that team this year that we saw in Athens was they got a little grit.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Marlon, Oscar.
Yeah, Marlon came out of the womb with grit.
Yes, he did.
Marlon also came out of the room deciding that he was going to try the most outrageous dribble he could at any given moment, which is what makes Marlon Marlon and what makes him a damn joy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, for a team that traditionally, especially last year, their midfield being so unbelievably technical, to also have that kind of sandpaper is a nice balance, because I think as they go along, they're going to have games where they go through runs like they did last year, where they're able to outclass you, but also with that sandpaper with a guy like Duncan back there in the midfield, I think it also lets them grind games out if they have to, and there's going to be times when they have to. USL is a grind. You're going to have to grind games out. That's, I think, something that we see from the best teams in USL. They're difficult a lot of the best teams are going to be difficult to play against. You have to have that quality in some way, shape, or form. However you want to develop it is to your discretion, but you have to have that quality. And I think that what they showed in that Athens preseason game was they're not afraid to get their hands dirty. They're not afraid to get nasty about everything, and that you have to have that.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun, man. I just can't believe that the season is 8 days away, and so that means that next Thursday we got to grab Keeler and our friends at the USL show and make sure that they can come in. I'm going to write this down. USL show next Thursday. So I'll be able to do that this weekend. All right, so there you go. All right, that's good. So now that it's 20 after 10 on a Friday and the show has flown by, it's not necessarily.
It does be like that sometimes.
It does. And David, is Parky's Club Rhode Island FC? Yes, that is Parky's Club. You'll be in Tampa when RIFC is visiting. Do you need to go as a visiting supporter and root against the Rowdies?
It depends, because I think it's Abby has anti-Tampa sentiments.
Yeah, and with Fort Lauderdale strikerness, yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing is this is the thing. There are layers to Florida soccer in this country.
Oh yeah,
more layer. And we can get into this next week USL show. We would probably do a 30-minute segment just on the layers of hatred between Florida-based clubs. But there are layers to how much those Florida teams hate each other. Oh yeah. So you go down there. You don't even you can go down there as a Rhode Island fan. Go for it. You can put on a Fort Lauderdale shirt though, or an old.
You don't want to.
Or you can go old school Orlando when they were in USL.
Oh, there you go. The old Lions bit.
Yeah, the old when Dom Dwyer. I think Dom Dwyer was playing for the Lions back in the day.
I think so.
Before he went to SKC and then back to Orlando. You could go with one of those and anger everybody for entirely new and creative reasons.
Yes,
I have faith in all of you.
Yes, and that's the beautiful part of all of this. It is that time, and traditionally, what we do going into a weekend. What we always do is we sit there and we look at juice boxes and we look at the matchups and we try and see what to stare at when it comes to everything in Major League Soccer with the schedule and everything. And we like to kind of give juice boxes and, we like to sit there and it's okay, here's, perhaps why you should be able to, take a peek at this particular matchup. You know what our friends at Major League Soccer have not done, Jarrett? They've not given us fun facts for 2024.
I can live with that fact. I'm okay with that.
You
may not be. I'm okay with that.
Here's your matchup, and this is what's going on. So,
okay.
All right. So we got a bunch of matchups, none of them involving Atlanta United, and it gives everybody the chance to see what's going on around Major League Soccer. And reminder, speaking of which, MLS Next Pro, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. It is Atlanta United 2 and Chattanooga Red Wolves out of USL League One. Red Wolves are coming to the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. Some guy named John's going to be there, and Jason Longshore is going to be doing play-by-play. So after we do the two matches tonight, the Friday game of the week for SDH brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente with North Gwinnett at Peachtree Ridge in the weather that we currently have. We're going to turn around 11 o'clock tomorrow morning at atlutd.com and all the socials and broadcast Red Wolves and Atlanta United 2 from the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. So it'll be you'll get Atlanta United you'll get your Atlanta United fix in other ways. All right, 2 o'clock.
I'll be there with you, by the way.
Sweet, good deal.
I mean, I won't be calling the game, but
You'll be there. You'll be hanging out.
Yeah, I'll be hanging up on the balcony.
And learning and finding out what's going on. All right, so we got matches, we got games, we got juice boxes. 2 o'clock, we have two matches tomorrow. Minnesota and Columbus is on season pass. It's at Allianz Field. Our long international nightmare is now officially over. They have a head coach in name. We're still waiting for the work visa to be approved and for Eric Ramsey at the age of 32 to be the youngest head coach in Major League Soccer history. It's been announced. He's not there yet. We're waiting for a work visa. Minnesota United's a plus 181 at home after their 2-1 win over Austin last week. Draws at a plus 272. Crew at a plus 131. Crew are favored heading to Minneapolis.
Paul Crew?
Yes, exactly. Match the career series. Columbus has won 3 of the 6. Minnesota's won 1. They have drawn 2 of the 6 meetings all time. What say you, Jarrett Smith?
Crew. This is also the Christian Ramirez again homecoming.
Yes, absolutely true.
And again, as we talked about yesterday, Atlanta, of their last 6 matches, 5 have been against the Crew, which is rather cruel, if we want to be honest about it, and unnecessary. It's good that someone else has to deal with Wilfred Nancy. Let somebody else go do this crap. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of it.
Yes.
Go play New England.
Go play somebody else.
Go play the baloney team in New England.
Yes. Go. So Columbus is favored at Minnesota. I don't see anything changing that. I've got to see. I think Columbus is going to get the win, and I think that they're going to continue. They've won 5 in a row, and I think they're going to win 6 in a row after the early game on Season Pass on Apple. We'll get you the broadcast teams coming up here when we're done with this. Also at 2 o'clock, out in what used to be Rio Tinto. It's still Rio Tinto. It's just got a different sponsor. Noon start.
It's still the
time.
Riot. Don't tell me otherwise.
It is. Noon start local time, which is interesting. And this is also on Season Pass. LAFC visits RSL. RSL's got 2 matches already played this season. LAFC is favored going to Utah at a plus 136. Your draws a plus 265. RSL at home at a noontime kick, local time, is a plus 177. What say you, Jarrett Smith?
Give me LAFC straight up, but give me like Arango at least gets a goal.
Okay. And that reminds me, if you have not signed up for the Fantasy League, please sign up for the Fantasy League because we need folks in the Fantasy League. So there you go.
So yeah, LAFC wins it. This new age LAFC, we're going to like sit deeper and we're not necessarily going to like play like a 3-ring circus. It's going to be effective for trophies, maybe not as much fun to watch. I wonder if LAFC fans want their old LAFC back. We'll have to take a poll on that.
Yes. We know how painful that can be sometimes.
I know how painful that can be sometimes, even when you win trophies. But yeah, I think LAFC gets it done. Give me the Ongo goal just for fun. Although that would be like, it'd be funny if you didn't give me that, because then that would be like 2 games in a row where Real Salt Lake just refuses to finish. Well,
Mm-hmm.
2 games out of 3.
Yes, 2 out of 3.
Where they just refuse to put the ball in the back of the net, because there's something about when you play Miami. I don't know if you know this, John. You are legally not allowed to score goals. Like, you get in front of net, like it's a glitch. It's like the old double triple glitch where you could like jump in the corner and knock down corner threes. It's kind of like that, except it's hell.
Which brings us to the game at 4:30 Eastern time. And let's see if this is in fact 4:40. Remember, 10 after
it's
the announced time
after.
is Apple.
This is not difficult, MLS, so we can let's hammer this right now.
Sure.
This is not a difficult thing. The NFL tells you that, hey, your game's going to kick off at 1:05. Guess when your game is going to kick off? It's going to kick at 1:05. Even if they have to break away coverage, even if they have to do whatever, it's going to kick at 1:05. It's going to kick at 4:05 unless the dome in Minneapolis collapses again.
Yes.
Like it did back 15, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Which made them
15 years ago.
Which made them want to build a new one.
Yes. With whatever. It's not that hard for you to say, hey, our 7 o'clock games, 7 o'clock, but it's really 7:10. So just say 7 redacted 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard. Time is linear. Time is not complicated. You're doing it by tens, which is probably the most forgiving number with which you can start, skip counting.
Mm-hmm.
Please, God, just say 7:10. Just say 4:10. Just say 4:40.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep saying 4:30 just so we can tune in for 10 minutes of whatever the hell you're going to do, which in a lot of cases, when I turn it on.
4 minutes of commercials and 6 minutes of content and 1 minute for an open.
It's 4 minutes of the same canned Apple commercial. Or if I'm on Fox, it's 4 minutes of Lexi Lawless deciding to say something because he wants to go trending on Twitter again.
Mm-hmm. Yes. 'Tis true.
So just say 4:40.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if it's 4:40 or if it's 4:55 because it's not listed in the MLS website to have the super hyper mega pregame show. We don't know. Right now it's listed at 4:30, which traditionally would mean 4:40, but it might mean 4:50 or 4:55. We don't know. It's on the free side on Fox, and it's also on the free side of Apple TV. Messi and Friends hosting Orlando. Now, the numbers here, Messi and Friends are a -132. Your draw's a +301, and the purple team is a +3.25. What say you, Jarrett Smith?
Did you ever watch Breaking Bad, John?
Bits and pieces. I didn't.
Okay.
Go into it. I did see Giancarlo Esposito's face explode.
There's a lot of he can't keep getting away with it energy with Miami through these first few games. Part of that's funny to me. I think it's funny. Is it sustainable?
Yeah.
I don't really know that it is. We'll find out because they still aren't defending. They had to get a very questionable red card to drag their tails back into the game in LA when LA should have been up 3 goals to the good.
Well, and also the second yellow has been rescinded from Mark Delgado, by the way. So he's back to being normal.
Yeah. I mean, it should have been, but again, we went over this the other day. It's what look. It's not the first. Busquets is not the first player, to sell a tackle like that, especially when you're trying to get back in the game. Correct. If someone's going to do a unnecessarily dangerous tackle, yeah, you're going to let him.
Yes,
you're not going to stop your enemy in the middle of a mistake.
No, not going to happen. So I still think that Messi and Friends get the Duke in this one, just because they're finally at home. No word on Federico Redondo, no word on Luis Suarez. So the starting 11 will be very, very interesting, to say the very least, at home for Messi and Friends going up against the purple team. So we will see what happens there. Night side, free side of Apple TV. BC plays at 7:30 Eastern time, so 7:40 kick. Vancouver, it's a 7:30 start time of the broadcast, 7:40 kick Eastern time. So at BC Place, this is a late afternoon special. 4:40 kick local time. Charlotte at Vancouver. Willie P. and Jess will be on the call on WFNZ. Vancouver is at home is a minus 114. Draws a plus 286. And Charlotte on the road is a plus 276. What say you, Jarrett Smith?
You know what? Give me Charlotte here.
Okay.
I still think there are going to be moments in Charlotte's season early on, especially. They're gonna drop games where you kind of like tilt your head like a dog that's what's the saying? Like a dog that's having a magic trick explained to it.
Yes.
We're gonna get those moments.
Yep.
And that's okay. They'll be better for it down the road, but I think they're going to be kind of a pain in the ass to play against, and I think that could benefit them in this game. Even though I do believe in Vancouver in the long term, give me Charlotte in kind of a weird one.
Yes.
Nothing about this game will be normal or make sense, or be allowed by the Geneva Convention. But give it to me.
Yep. So I think it's going to be kind of off the rails, kooky, weird. You still don't have Vanni Sartini, I think, for one more match. Because of his demonstrative behavior for the last game of the year that the Whitecaps played last season.
The problem, John.
Hmm.
Vanni Sartini did not complain in the public eye to the media enough, a la Philadelphia and Cincinnati.
True.
You have to bellyache more and more like a kid who does not get food. Or, I'm sorry, not food. That's a terrible example. Does not get a toy as we're starving the children.
There you go.
You have to complain and groan about it for extended periods of time, like Cincinnati and Philly had, to get that suspension reduced more.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So it will be interesting in this one, but I think that the total, as we stared at it, the total, I think, flips at 3.5. So if you have any juice boxes that are attached to this, I think the total flips at 3.5, and so you've got to keep an eye on it there when it comes to, let's see, 3.5 is a plus 171. Technically, it flipped at 3. So 3 is a plus 118. 2.5 is a minus 142. So I think they can hit 3. I would take the over in that one with Vancouver hosting Charlotte, because I think it'll get a little wacky.
Yes, Ricky, only serving children don't get fined. Yeah, because that's the way it goes. I still maintain my issue with the one in Philadelphia. It's like, I get that Kai Wagner went through the mediation and the training and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I get that he went through that,
mm-hmm.
but as far as I'm concerned, like, when you did something dumb like he did, like, it should be the mediation plus your penalty, not mediation and we'll just knock your penalty down. No, both things. You assign both things. You put both things on there. Everyone can grow from it afterward. No one is condemned to this fate and to this title for the rest of their lives. But I still believe that both the mediation and the punishment are okay in that situation. That's just me.
Yep. By the way, this morning, FC Cincinnati has loaned Alvaro Barreal to Cruzeiro for the remainder of the 2024 season. That's officially official. As a part of the deal, Cruzeiro will have a purchase option for an undisclosed fee. FC Cincinnati also retains the right to terminate the loan if certain conditions are met. So
if he just starts going balls to the wall, they got to terminate the loan and bring him back.
Probably, or something like that, unless Cruzeiro wants to cut a big check. So I think that that's what you're staring at. But I'll try and find the quote from our friends in Cincinnati about keeping an eye. I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have the quote in front of me. But Jarrett, we saw the same thing where Pat Noonan was asked, and how this came about, I have no idea. If he thought now, and like I said, correct me if I'm misinterpreting this or if I don't remember this correctly. The question was about replacement officials and their governance over Matt Miazga.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And it was in our production chain, and there was a concern that was placed in there by Pat Noonan And like I said, I'm going to see if I can find it because it was a part of our production chain yesterday, I want to say. And it had to do with that. And if there was a concern from our friends in Cincinnati about the governance over Miazga, and if they were worried that replacement officials would be adjudicating him differently than they would otherwise.
Man, we're going to be like, we're upset that they might be strict against the guy who stormed into a referee's locker room when he clearly knew he wasn't supposed to. That's just, we can't believe that they might keep an eye on him after he just, broke multiple rules. And then, the team proceeded to try and different people proceeded to try and run a smear campaign so as to get him out of trouble. Like, we can't believe they might do that. Yeah, you know why? Like, why are we still doing this crap? Like, look, once again, in a similar vein to Kai Wagner, Miazga does not have to have the rest of his life defined by that one incident. Doesn't change the fact that both of them were really dumb in very different ways. That's another thing that pissed me off is when Kai Wagner's got pulled back, the immediate response out of Cincinnati was, "Oh, they dropped his suspension. Why haven't they dropped Miazga's?" Because you're comparing apples with hand grenades. They're not the same situations. They did not commit the same offenses. You spending your entire time being mortally offended because somebody hurt your damn fifis? Get the hell on, man.
Yeah.
Like,
so
just none of the, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, look, Miazga doesn't have to be defined by everything that happened, nor should he be. He can grow from it as a human being. Hopefully, I know there's already, like, Miazga already comes with a reputation that he's kind of blockheaded.
Yeah.
But until you kind of break that reputation, I hate to tell you, bud, and I shouldn't have to tell you, you're going to carry that reputation. People are going to expect it of you. People are going to kind of expect you to be that short-tempered guy. They're going to try and get under your skin. Referees are going to look at you funny. They're going to be keeping a closer eye on you. They're going to keep a tighter leash on you. They might be more critical of you because, frankly, in the last 6 months, you earned it. Now, how do you go about fixing that? Well, you can't really do it overnight, but you could do it by, I don't know, just being better one day at a time. That's hard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's probably going to be officiated tightly. That's probably going to happen.
Just saying.
And he's pretty much earned it over the last little stretch of time.
Yeah.
Can you fix it? Yeah. But guess what? You don't fix that stuff overnight.
Yeah. So it was put out there. And the intriguing part of it, yes, it was put out there. And so now
it's this whining, nonsensical bullshit of this constant, you can't sit here and tell me you're going to be the tough guys and then sit there and whine about somebody stealing your Oreos every time something gets sideways. You don't get to have both of those at the same time. You can't be that soft and whiny about everything, and then when things are going good, be puffing out your chest like you're a bird of paradise trying to mate. Pick a lane, man.
Yeah. So
be the villain. We need more villains. Be the damn villain,
and just
don't be afraid of it.
Enjoy being the villain, basically. If you're gonna do it, then embrace doing it. Don't sit there and wander, one way or the other about the whole thing. So, once again, like I said, it was an interesting quote from Pat Noonan that surfaced about the adjudication and possible adjudication of Matt Miazga. So, there you go. Also, now that that game's behind us and that rant is now behind us, also on the board, there's a lot of 8:30s. There's a lot of 8:30s this week. And so I think our buddy Kevin Egan probably is going to be busier in the central time zone than anything else. Also at 8:30 on the board, once again, it is on the season pass section of Apple TV, Chicago and Cincinnati at Soldier Field in this one, with all of the lead-in that we had, Chicago's a plus 129 favored at home. FC Cincinnati's a plus 195, and the draw's a plus 259. Hell, take the over. That's where I would start.
Take the over.
Yes, take the over. Don't pay attention to the rest of it. Free side of Apple TV, Dallas and Montreal at Toyota Stadium in Frisco. Dallas once again, and Montreal in this one. Dallas minus 115. CF Montreal is a plus 313. Your draw is a plus 260. What say you, Jarrett Smith?
Interesting, that draw number.
I just, we saw, I think that with Montreal, I think we saw with Laurent Courtois that it's going to be defense before offense. The defense is going to be leading them into points this season before their offense is. And so I think the draw, if not the under, might end up being the play. So that's where at least I'm leaning, at least out of the blocks in this one. So we'll see how it appears there, but I could go with the draw. Also, at Hell in a Shell at 8:30, Houston and Red Bulls. Houston a plus 129, draws a plus 229, and Red Bulls are a plus 215. This one's on season pass. Emil Forsberg is going to be a problem in general.
Yeah, man, he seems to fit really well what they want to do, which is not good for everyone else in existence.
No,
great for them, but not for anyone else. Like Red Bulls seem like they're okay with the ball at their feet now. Not okay with that.
Who are you people?
Yeah, but good for them. Because I think, and I blame, and I say this with tongue firmly planted in cheek. I blame Wilfred Nancy for this, because now everybody's decided that playing with the ball can be fun and exciting. I know. You got to roll with it, bud. You just got to roll with it. Everyone's decided you can play with the ball now. You don't have to. You don't have to just play energy drink, hard counter, get it forward, get it in the mixer ball, with little nuanced variances in there. So, being able to add that to your bag of tricks is not a bad thing. No. They'll be fine. They'll be fun. I look forward now to watching them, and they'll probably still have those weird moments, those Red Bull moments, because Red Bull does this every year, where they will do this every year, where they'll go through a month where they look like they might actually beat the 12 Disciples in a match if they had to play them, like 12v11, they'd be fine. Then they'll go through a month where you wonder if they went on the field against an NPSL team if they knew which direction to dribble the ball.
True.
They'll still probably have that. That's okay. But yeah, Forsberg, very fun.
Really looking forward to seeing how folks want to try and attack someone who is 6'5" and can handle the ball. And we're not talking about hoops.
Breck Shea?
Yes, exactly. Who just had a birthday, by the way. So
yes, he did.
Happy national holiday of Dane Breckenshaw's birthday, for those of you who observed. Also at 8:30, Sporting and Philadelphia Union, which might set the world back a good couple of years. It's on the free side of Apple TV from Children's Mercy Park. Sporting at home is a plus 110. Draws a plus 252. The Union are a plus 236. I would anticipate that after the madness with Saprissa in the midweek, you're going to see a lot of kids playing for our favorite emo librarian. And I would take the under, and this probably will be a very painful 90-minute watch for anyone there in person or anyone who wants to watch this on the free side of Apple TV.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because Philadelphia has every reason to figure out how they first of all, you'll just start your back line as much as you can, because you were going to be missing two center backs against Saprissa. John, who did they play next? They beat Saprissa. That game was drunk.
Yeah, it was amazing. Hang on.
I forget who they're playing next. I apologize, Philadelphia. Because that was a ballsy ass win, by the way, because it's 5-5 on aggregate, and they get going into additional extra time, and Pachuca. Philadelphia is Pachuca next. Philadelphia is down a man, and they get a set piece goal down a man in like the 105th minute. Saprissa hits the crossbar twice in like the 118th minute. And to that, you're to the point there because we still count away goals because we are still Philistines in this country. That if Saprissa scored, that was it. They win on away goals. So Philadelphia had to grind the hell out of that game when they were exhausted. It's a really impressive result. They're going to be missing 2 center backs against Pachuca. You start those guys. I don't know who else you start in this game because I don't know how you go into that game against Pachuca at home in the first leg, where we talk about you don't always like win a 2-leg series in your first game, but you sure as hell can lose it, a la Red Bulls in 2018, a la Atlanta when they've been in CONCACAF Champions Cup in the past. You go back to 2019 where it's I think it's 1-0, 2-0 on the road, and Frank de Boer doesn't shut up shop quickly enough, and then pop. But pretty much the draw, the tie is over at that point because they didn't close up shop. I want to see how Philadelphia handles that. As far as this game goes, I'm kind of writing it off. It's gonna be ugly. I'm not gonna hold anything that happens in this game against Philadelphia. They are not to be blamed for anything in this game, as far as I am concerned.
Oh, I found the Q&A involving Noonan. Basically, the question was, do you have any concerns that Matt might be refereed differently? Pat Noonan, yes. So there it is. The quick Q&A.
Because he was a big old dummy late last year.
Yes, he was.
People are going to hold that against him. I'm sorry, Pat. That's the thing. Now, if I get you're doing the coach thing, and I respect the coach thing in that you are planting the seed a bit here, and that's
absolutely
fine. You are doing your job as a head coach. I hold nothing against you on that front. You are trying to plant that seed. That's fine. But yes, I probably going to be officiated differently. Once again, be the villain. That's what Philadelphia sports does so well. They're such good villains.
Yes.
Don't be. If you're going to be the villain, don't be whiny about stuff.
Yeah.
Just be the villain.
You're going to do it. Do it. Don't sit there and be the whiny guy about it. If you're going to be a whiny villain,
begging you.
Yes. If you're going to be the villain, be the villain. Don't be the whiny villain unless everybody knows it's a work when you're cutting your promos anyway. All right. So let's see. We're still in the 830s. One more 830. Season pass, all caps in NYCFC. It is at City Park, and all caps are a favorite at a +138. Your draws a +243. NYC is a +191. I got to go with St. Louis.
I'm going St. Louis. NYC is.
Yeah, they're still trying to figure it out.
NYC is trying to figure out which way the door handle turns, pretty much at this point.
Yep. 9:30. It is Chris Armas and the Rabid Prairie Dogs.
God bless you, Chris Armas.
Hosting Nashville at a +127. Rapids are favored here. Rapids are a +127. Draws a +235. Nashville's a +216. But they handled Mocha, and I'm not talking
Nashville
about
didn't have
either.
Nashville didn't have to work that hard in that game.
Nope.
No one really wants to go play at altitude. No one really enjoys that trip. Give me Nashville though. To Chris Armas, I do want to see what this looks like after a year or two. They brought in fun pieces. They don't really look. We talked about it with Nico yesterday. Like they don't really look all that great together. Let's see what it looks like in a year or two.
All
right.
right.
To me then. Carry on.
10:30s. Portland hosting DC United. First off, take the over. Timbers a -111. Draws a +278. DC United's a +275. I think first off, take the over in this one, but I got Portland.
I'll take Portland.
Yeah.
I'll take Portland in this. Watching DC, all I could think is like, it's a good thing Atlanta got basically a Scandinavian tree to play center back because they're going to need that dealing with Christian Benteke. Like that's why you brought him in, is to be a tree and to not let Christian Benteke do Christian Benteke things.
Yes. Or you could be the defense that was there last week trying to keep the third goal from going in the back of the net and just back into the net.
I forget who that was, but it's still the funniest damn thing I have seen in a long ass time. Where like Christian Benteke is floating in the box to get this header, and the guy who's defending him, as if a video game glitched, he didn't stop when Benteke ran. He just kept running into the net.
Oh, he floated.
And then he was just like, as he turned around,
oh my God.
As he turns around, the ball is like floating much in the way a brick does into the net past his head.
Yes.
And it looked like someone tried to screw with the programming on FIFA.
Absolutely.
It was amazing.
Carry on. Also on the board with the second of the three 10:30s, San Jose hosting LAG in a Cali Classico. Hopefully Cosmo will be there with his sign.
Sadly, SportsCenter is not next.
Yeah. But there is a rumor. Once again, check your sources, and the numbers that are attached, that Carlos Vela will not be returning to Liga MX. That Carlos Vela will be going to San Jose to play for the Earthquakes. What in the ever-loving blue hell?
Doesn't want to go to Mexico. San Jose needs bodies. We'll see if it's true.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't know.
No, we don't.
But it would be funny.
Due to the desk, yeah. Due to the desk in Mexico, said Carlos Vela.
Vega.
Yeah, okay. I was typing in Vega. Carlos Vela to San Jose, literally. That happened at a desk on sports television in Mexico. And I
need it because I need Carlos Vela to come. Like, he just shows up. I need him to show up and drop like 2 goals in 20 minutes on the Galaxy, just as kind of this little inkling of a reminder that, hey, you're stuck here forever. Hell, the ride doesn't end. You cannot get off Mr. Bones' wild ride. You are actually not allowed. Congratulations. Have fun.
Yes. So right now,
Dale, he has absolutely lost. I think he has lost more than a step. You're correct, and I think you might not be harsh enough.
Yeah.
I think he's lost a step and a half. God bless him for what he was. 2019 Carlos Vela was an absolute joy.
Yeah.
But it is 5 years on, man.
Yeah, it is. Looking at our friends at the Bolavip, it appears, once again, that they are looking, according to Fernando Ceballos, Vela would be announced sometime today.
Oh, my God.
Vela turned down LAG, set to earn a major salary. According to El Futbolero, Vela is set to sign a contract that will see him earn $3 million annually.
I'm sorry.
In Mexico, the possible move to San Jose was frowned upon as a step down for Vela, who's leaving LAFC. And a team of guys fighting for titles to live well at San Jose. A team, according to one reporter, has done nothing in a decade. So, at 35 years old,
the most exciting thing they did was the MLS's back tournament that one night when we were up until like 2 a.m, John, watching them play some drunken game that I don't even remember all the details of at this point. Carlos Vela is the same age I am.
Wando scored like they scored 2 goals in like 90 plus.
Yeah, and then like they gave up a goal that was just so cursed that basically the defense was way up. It was kind of like the one Atlanta gave up to Montreal 2 years ago, where like the defense was so far up that they were able to like basically the guy had a 1v1 with the keeper from midfield. Yeah. Like they made so many mistakes in that game. It was
yes.
Yeah, Ricky, I'm 35 years old. If you look, man, I will go jog around a pitch for $3 million a year, and I won't even ask questions. Yeah.
Today, by the way,
I will do whatever you want me to do. $3 million a year. Hey, come play for us. $3 million a year. What do you want me to do? Whatever you want. Great.
Go over
you tell. You know what? You tell me. I'm all ears.
Yep. And today, by the way, to add to the Palace intrigue, today is Carlos Vela's 35th birthday.
Oh, my God.
So, Ricky asking, do we get a Clint Dempsey-style unveiling at the Cali Classico for Carlos Vela?
I don't know if we're that lucky.
That would put the whole thing over the top. It really would.
I would. I don't know if we're that lucky, though.
Yeah. I mean,
we're not blessed enough as a species for that.
Yeah. And so, well, and Ricky, yeah, 3 million what? American dollars?
Yeah.
Well, and considering that the owner of the Earthquakes is trying to figure out how to get his baseball team to Vegas, and that's not going well.
No, there's a non-zero chance that falls through. Also, I'm very entertained by the idea of Oakland basically going to the A's and be like, "Oh, you guys still need to play a place?" In what universe would we choose anything other than violence?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why should we let you back in?
Yeah.
Basically.
Why should we be friends?
Yes. Why should we be friends anymore? So you have all of that Palace intrigue attached to Jarrett San Jose Earthquakes this weekend. So once again, today is Carlos Vela's 35th birthday. Being reported. Once again, check your sources. San Jose's interested. They might sign him today. I like Ricky's black helicopter theory of unveiling him at Cali Classico, complete with the jersey and the cheering and all that kind of stuff.
Just pissing off the Galaxy so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we should all just strive to make the Galaxy angry at all given times,
kind of
especially
pettiness.
Yeah, and if you're like a newer fan to this league, that's fine. I'm sure you may not have the same experience of the Galaxy just being a pain in everyone's ass, because that's what they were for a long time. It's kind of going to be like this thing, like, okay, so for anyone who's followed college football, like, are we gonna be mad at are you still gonna be mad at Bama in 10 years? Yes. 100% yes.
Why would you not?
Yeah. You're going to enjoy. You are still in 10 years going to enjoy Alabama. If they fall off, you're going to enjoy it. I promise you are.
Seattle hosting Austin, 10:30. The last game on Saturday night at Lumen. That one's on season pass. And the numbers here: Seattle minus 185. Austin basically a plus 485. Draws a plus 325. I'm going Seattle here. I'm going Seattle big, I think.
Yeah, give me Seattle.
Then
if it doesn't happen, you have so many questions in both camps.
True, absolutely true. Then the one match on Sunday, because the Revs played on Thursday, and Carlos Gil left the match against Independiente with a tight Achilles. Don't know if he's going to play against Toronto at Foxborough. Revs are a minus 141. Draws a plus 311. Toronto FC is a plus 342. I still think that the Revs get it done, even if they sit Carlos Gil on a quick turn. I don't see it from Toronto, who, by the way, signed Matty Longstaff from Newcastle. So Matty Longstaff has been added to the mix for John Herdman. So they're still spending money in the Prem. But they seem like they are very much open to spending money. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. They're just like, yeah, can we do it? Sure. Okay, cut the check. I mean, that's Bill Manning. He's just like, can we do it? Can we do it under the guidelines? Sure. Boom. There you go. They don't care. But, so that's what you're staring at. I got to go with the Revs. I don't think anything's going to be going on with Toronto. Match day 3 announcer assignments. Columbus and the Loons is Tyler Terrens and Kinder D. St. Aubin. So Kinder gets a home match. Max and Dunny are in RSL for LAFC and RSL. Jake and TT get to go to Fort Lauderdale. It is Blake Price and Paul Dolan in Vancouver for Charlotte and Vancouver. Tony Husband, Ross Smith for Chicago and Cincy. Mark Followill gets a home game with Warren Barton with CF Montreal and Dallas. Callum and Kalen are in Houston for Red Bulls and Dynamo. Nate Bacady gets a home game He's paired with Devin Kerr to do Sporting in Philly. Kanji and Danny are in St. Louis for NYC in all caps. Krakauer and Jaleel Anibaba. So Jaleel gets a road game with Nashville, and they are in Colorado. Neil Sika, Lloyd Sam are in Portland for the matchup against DC United. Rogo and Heath Pierce get Cali Classico. Keith and Mo are in Seattle for the Austin match. And TT and Lori Lindsay are in New England. They're in Foxborough for the matchup against Toronto. So Tyler has to, after his match on Saturday afternoon, he's got to catch a flight from Minneapolis, get to Providence probably. But I don't know if you can get from Minneapolis to Providence. He's probably going from Minneapolis to Boston and driving the hour from Logan to get there Saturday night, hopefully in time, maybe get in a nap, and he will get the doubleheader with Lori Lindsay this week. So that's your rundown of everything Major League Soccer. Jarrett, what are you looking forward to this weekend in a weekend without Atlanta United on the board?
Well, I mean, be at Atlanta United too tomorrow for that.
True. That is true.
Friendly.
Yeah.
So get an idea.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Get an idea what the kids look like. It'd be fun to watch. I want to see how they do. Aside from that, I'm sure I'll tune into games when I can. Otherwise, man, look, we had the flu go through this house.
Yeah.
And it has been full recovery mode. We got back from vacation, and then was it Friday night? We got back Thursday. And Friday night, got woken up by a child with a 102, 103 fever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good. And so we had the flu run through here. So we're just we're finally free of it. And yeah, I might just go outside just to go outside.
There you go.
Because yesterday is the first day I didn't feel like I wanted to crawl in a hole in the ground. And of course, it's been raining, and including today, where I'm hey, I could go work on the porch and enjoy the sun. No, there is no sun.
Nope.
There is no sun in my life.
None.
So I might just honestly go outside and enjoy being outside.
Union and Pachuca. It looks like the big doubleheader on Thursday. I think Orlando Tigres, Union and Pachuca. I think that's going to be Thursday on 2 to NA. So that's where your Thursdays are going to be. That's going to be locked down for that. And it will be very, very interesting to see what else is going on. We had a lot of other news go on. We'll catch up with it on Monday when Bart circles back in. Stuff on concussions. The Premier League, they have to decide about $900 million across the pyramid. Sean Dyche wants rule changes to protect league integrity. You've also got an injury for Jack Grealish, which could hurt his chances at the Euro 2024. Rochdale looks like they're going to be saved from liquidation by American investors. Cristiano Ronaldo got the one-game ban for grabbing his crotch. That had nothing to do with anything DX-like. Also, it looks like the Crystal Palace co-owner, John Textor, says he's slamming the spending rules in the Premier League. Nobody thinks it makes sense. So we got that to talk about with Bart on Monday. The blue card proposal is in danger of being scrapped. Thank God. And it looks like Newcastle might be on a collision course.
I'm begging y'all to realize that bullying works.
Yeah.
Same thing with the whole thing with Wendy's wanting to surge price their burgers.
Oh my God.
Y'all, bullying works. We should do it more often.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're afraid of this.
Yeah. And then Newcastle looks like they might be on a collision course with history over their stadium plans. The Saudi owners are weighing up whether to remain and expand on the site or build somewhere else in the city. So St. James Park, they're putting their heads together trying to figure out what to do with St. James Park. And so once again, you got Premier League on the weekend. You got a lot of other stuff on the weekend. Let me see what to watch and where to watch it before we go. And we will kind of give you an idea. Don't forget tonight, 5:30 and 7:30, it is Peachtree Ridge hosting North Gwinnett. Jason will call the girls match, 2 teams in the top 10 in the girls poll. Maddie and I will call the boys match a little after 7:30, and it'll be at soccerdownhere.mixlr.com, MIXLR. So soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. That's our live channel where everything goes, and you can also link to it through soccerdownhere.net and listen to that one. We'll be in Oconee County on Tuesday for the throwdown. But the game of the week tonight is North Gwinnett hosting North Gwinnett at Peachtree Ridge. BN has Ligue 1 at 1 o'clock, and they also have the Women's Cup final from Colombia, Gotham and Racing Louisville. Nothing like having a 13-year-old score for Gotham in extra time to get their second goal. Gotham and Racing Louisville in the Women's Cup final in Colombia at 8:30. The league that we neither condone, endorse, or promote is playing a match at noon on FS2. BN and Espanol simulcasting the Liga and the Women's Cup. You can get BN if you don't have it at going to Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here, and you can get all the BN, CDO for the fans, Teise, Nuestra Tele, all that stuff, and really watch some very obscure leagues. Ecuadorian League kicks back in, and that'll be on Fanatis as well. Fox Deportes has the simulcast of the league that we don't talk about at noon. 2 to NA doubleheader tonight in Liga MX, 8 and 10. BN Sports Connect has the third-place game from the Women's Cup in Colombia, America de Cali and Deportivo Cali at 5:30. The Plus today has the Bundesliga at 2:30. West Brom, who's under new ownership now after a £60 million takeover, and Coventry City at 3. La Liga's got Celta de Vigo and Almeria at 3. Golazo Network triple header in the Argentine Copa de la Liga, 5 and 2 at 7:15, including Racing Club and Bonfield, not playing each other, but both at 7:15. Serie A at 2:45. Paramount Plus is simulcasting all of that. VIX has Atletico San Luis, and our buddies David Mejia or Johnny Vial and Jurgen Damm at 10 o'clock going up against Puebla. So that is what to watch today. Enjoy the weekend. And we are officially out of here. Man, it's been a fun show. We were all over the place. And Ricky says that just got through COVID in his house like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Revs and Orlando both going to be in the middle of Triple C when they come to Atlanta. Darn the luck. Darn it. Dell, have a good weekend. Charleston Battery.
Yeah, you would give your right hand to be in the same situation, though. Just so we're clear.
No doubt.
Everyone would give their right hand to be able to say, like, hey, we're in the middle of CONCACAF Champions Cup. I would much rather be in that. Sure, you want to benefit from it.
Yeah.
That's great. I would much rather be in a situation where we're in CONCACAF Champions Cup and we're having to figure out how to balance our rosters.
No doubt. Triple header for the first leg matches from the Triple C on Tuesday. Herediano and Robin Hood at 5. Union Pachuca at 7. And the Purple Team and Tigres at 9. Wednesday the 6th, the triple header. 6 o'clock, Revs and Alajuelense from Foxborough. Helena Shell is Dynamo and Crew. Chivas and Club America from Stadio Akron at 10 o'clock. Thursday the 7th, Cincinnati and Monterrey. Return of Brandon Vasquez at 7. 9 o'clock, Nashville and Messi and Friends at Geodis. The second legs are the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th. All right, Jarrett, we are at, and yes, David, sign up for the Jason Wright Fantasy League. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Sign it up. Jason Wright Agency on Facebook, Jason Wright with the WAGEN on Twitter. Sign up and join the Fantasy League once again. David is right on. Jarrett, since you're here and you made the second hour, send us home.
Mucho platio.
What he said. We'll be back at it on Monday. Live tonight, 5:30 and 7:30. Atlanta United 2, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Have a safe weekend. Stay warm. Play it safe. That means we get to do this.